Antifa has escaped their mother's basements once again. We're going to talk about it on today's Hot Zone.
This is the Hot Zone. Engaging with the news in a whole new way, international war correspondent Chuck Holton brings insight into areas of crisis and lets you help those affected.
So then here is the scene. Antifa protesters appear to attack a conservative journalist. His name is Andy No. He's caught up in the middle of this thing by himself, who posted a picture of his face after visiting the emergency room. Here is how that happened.
I just got beat up by the crowd. No police at all. In the middle of the street, and they stole my GoPro, and he punched me several times in my face, in my head. I'm bleeding.
Cruz is now seeking legal action against the mayor in Portland, who's also the police commissioner, in the aftermath of this protest. William Janess picks up the story from there, live in L.A. with more now. William, good morning.
Good morning, Bill. The question being asked today, did the Portland mayor and police allow hundreds of left-wing protesters to attack a handful of conservatives on Saturday? In one incident, a group of masked men, as you saw, hospitalized a right-leaning blogger while police stood by. Demonstrators used pepper and bear spray. They threw quick-drying cement and raw eggs at a minority marching for, in their words, patriotism and prayer. So photos show cuts and bruises to Andy No's face, prompting Senator Ted Cruz to claim liberal Democratic Mayor Ted Wheeler purposely allowed the attack. Quoting, "To federal law enforcement, investigate and bring action against the mayor who has, for political reasons, ordered his police officers to let citizens be attacked by domestic terrorists."
Hey folks, Chuck Holton here, and I am in the airport at Washington Dulles at a profane hour of the morning when everybody should be asleep. But this is an unexpected trip. I'll get to that in a minute. But first, I want to talk about what's going on out in Portland, Oregon, with these Antifa jackasses that are beating people up at these competing rallies that they're having between conservative or right-wing groups and left-wing groups.
We're out here to confront the Proud Boys. They're trying to march in our city, and instead of the police stopping them, they're following us around. Because according to them, the threat to this city are the residents of this city, the diverse, beautiful residents of the city who are constantly under attack by these folks who come in from out of town.
Are you concerned about safety at all? Or you want to pick on the people with a slingshot?
According to the Portland police, the biggest threat to Portland are the residents of Portland, not the fascists and white supremacists that come marching through our town.
Are not allowed to block or impede traffic. You must vacate the roadway and proceed to the sideway and show the intent to engage in physical resistance to removal, or if emergency circumstances require, you may be...
Talk a little bit about my experience with that. Now, I have to admit, I'm a little biased against these guys because I've been personally assaulted by them myself at more than one occasion. One time, the first time was on Inauguration Day right here in Washington, D.C. I was downtown yesterday and covering some of the same ground that those protesters were covering back on Inauguration Day. Here's what that looked like. So I'm just going to narrate what you're seeing on the screen. Right now I'm walking down the street. This is during the march on Inauguration Day, and I'm in the midst of a bunch of black-clad Antifa thugs carrying flags and sticks and hammers and things like that. Now, this guy you're seeing right here is the guy who ended up attacking me later on with that hammer. And you see them there smashing a parking meter. This guy's got a brick. He's taking that parking meter, just trying to break it into little pieces. We saw this a lot. They were just basically committing felonies all the way down the street. And of course, they wouldn't have done that unless they had their faces covered. And you know, they're too cowardly to do that if they didn't have all their buddies with them. So I'm trying to keep ahead of the crowd here. Here's a guy with a stick that's beating on a window and trying to break the window, but he's unable to do that, so he walks away like he's really cool. It must have been shatterproof glass because this guy took a crowbar to that window and it didn't break. Not all the windows were that lucky, though. There was a Starbucks that got broken up pretty bad and a bunch of other windows. Now, right here, a girl comes up and tries to grab my phone, and I pushed her away, and so these other guys started filming me and saying that I had attacked her. And then a guy came up and tried to hit me with a monopod from his camera, and that's when we start yelling back and forth, and I'm saying, I'm one of you, I'm one of you. It's the only defense I have at that point, because it's, there's thousands of them and there's only one of me. So I'm using verbal judo to say, look, leave me alone, I'm one of you guys. And that worked for a while, but even though you can see there were cameras all over the place, there were journalists there, and the police or the fire trucks, the firemen are just standing by as they pass the fire station. Here, this person is painting revolution on the door of that, building there. Anyway, I ran by the firemen and I stopped and said, guys, you need to be filming this. You need to get your cameras out and film what they're doing, because they're committing crimes here. And we're going to need that evidence at some point. But they were just letting them go by and surprisingly not doing anything about it. Now, I'm trying to stay off to the side in the sidewalk here, because it is getting pretty dangerous in the thick of things. The crowd is really getting kind of ramped up now, and you see that they just are feeding off of each other. Now, you can see the guy coming up right here in the screen with a hammer. He's the guy who ends up trying to take my camera, and he sees me filming, and he grabs the camera right here. And I fight him for the camera. Meanwhile, he's got that hammer in the other hand, and I wrenched my camera back away from him and then started yelling at him, again, I'm one of you, I'm one of you. Why are you messing with me? Trying to get him to go away. And he's just saying, don't film, you can't be filming. Well, there's people filming all over the place, and that's what I was there for, so I kept filming. But anyway, things were getting pretty dangerous at that point.
Woo! Getting crazy. Somebody just tried to grab my phone.
So then I turned the camera around so you can kind of see all the people. And right here is where they start attacking the limousine and that Suburban right there. That limousine, they say, belonged to Larry King, who is probably very much on the side of these Antifa protesters. If anything, he's a very left-wing guy. But they ended up spray painting and then torching that limo a little bit later, setting it on fire. The thing that kills me about these guys is that they really are the very thing that they say they're against. They like to call people fascists and Nazis and ridiculous names like that, but in reality, they're out there literally beating people up who disagree with them. And if that's not fascist, I don't know what is. In reality, these people are very loosely organized around a whole bunch of different left-wing causes. When you go to these rallies, I went to a whole bunch of them over the last couple of years. You see people with environmental issues that are advocating for environmental issues. You see people with social issues, gay, lesbian things. You see people who are advocating against Donald Trump, lots and lots of those. And it's almost like they have taken this idea that because a president was elected that they disagreed with, they have the right to go out and break things and hurt people. And they've done that on college campuses, they've done that on city streets. They don't seem to do that very much in places where stand your ground laws are strong or concealed carry. And probably for obvious reasons. But I just have to say, these people are such cowards. Anybody that's going to go out and foment violence against people who disagree with them, and especially in the way that these people do it. None of these idiots would attack somebody if they were by themselves. They wouldn't attack somebody unless their faces are covered. And it just goes to show that, unless they have their mob around them, they're really not all that tough. But I really believe that they should be considered a domestic terror organization. They are really doing their best to create terror among anybody that happens to disagree with them. Imagine driving through Portland and having a pro-Trump sticker on your car or something like that. It could be absolutely dangerous, and it shouldn't be. This is supposed to be a free country, and if I disagree with you politically or religiously or whatever, live and let live. But Antifa feels like they say that our very ideas that disagree with theirs amount to violence. But you know what? They don't amount to violence. Violence is violence. Words mean things. And when you say violence, what you mean is whacking somebody over the head with a 2x4. That doesn't mean disagreeing with them. That doesn't mean having a bumper sticker on your car. That's not violence. And we've got to stop allowing them to craft the narrative and call it that. The really sad thing is they always point to right-wing violence as if it's justification for their left-wing violence. And they always, there's really only one or two instances of right-wing violence that they can point to. This guy in Charlottesville that ran over a woman and killed her, who is a straight-up, right-wing skinhead, white supremacist type. And he's been roundly condemned by everybody on the right. But these people who are beating old men for Antifa, they're not being roundly criticized by the left. And I think that's a problem. It's something we got to talk about some more. All right, well, I made it to my destination. I'm in Reno, Nevada now, and I wanted to share with you all the reason that I came out here. I got some bad news last week that my mother has some sort of cancer, and they're not exactly sure what kind of cancer it is. They just know it's bad, and it's likely that it could be non-operable. That's one of the things we're here to find out. So I came out here on a moment's notice to be with my mom, and I'm going to keep working on the podcast because I'll go crazy if I don't have something to do while I'm sitting out here. But I may be out here for a couple of weeks, and I would appreciate all your prayers. If you are the praying sort, please pray for my mom. And she's doing well. She's at peace with whatever happens, and she knows where she's going. So you can't ask for a whole lot more than that. And listen, none of us get to choose how long we stay on this earth. But having seen some of the things that I've seen over the last year in Syria, in Venezuela, I don't have a whole lot to complain about. And I'm grateful for my mom and the legacy that she's left me. And I just pray that she'll be healed and she'll have a lot more time to leave a legacy for my grandkids too. But if not, we're okay with that as well. So thanks for watching, and I'll be back again tomorrow, the Lord willing. And this is Chuck Holton. You're watching The Hot Zone.
The Hot Zone is produced by Amy Holton and Livefire Media. Copyright 2019.